I'm here in the famous Laotian northeastern province of Phonsavanh in what's called the Plain of Jars. The Plain of Jars is actually a collective term for up to 19 of these sites of megalithic stone jars that still have no plausible explanation for construction or its way of moving them, constructing them, and placement. There's been several theories that these were used for funerary stone pots for distilling the corpses of people. However, the technology required to construct these at the beginning of the Iron Age, where the quality of iron was almost at its basic infancy, and some of these stone jars were quarried in the far mountains up to 9 to 10 kilometers away. All of these in the quarries that are surrounding this. And there's the typical answers of rolling them in logs and stuff like this, but basically some of these stone jars are 3 meters high, placed on top of hills, and they're 15 to 25 tons each, for a very basic civilization of which there's no remnants of any sort of dwellings, except some military outposts from the original days of Siam and Kempa. This area also is one of the most heavily bombed areas on Earth. As far as the eye can see, there's very little arable farming, and the Mines Advisory Group, volunteer group, and also various governments have lent their support to try and clear the mines, and all they've managed to succeed in 50 years is 1% of the mines have been cleared from areas just as small as this, where the Plain of Jars is. And the only reason for that is that it was listed as a UNESCO site 20 years ago. However, the other pockholing almost the entire landscape are bomb craters going up the hill, and here, and 2,000-pound bomb site was here, and even direct hits by 2,000-pound bombs on some of the jars just tipped them over, and some of them were ruptured along the fault lines, but very little damage to the jars was sustained. Several centuries before, Hor bandits had got excited here and broken some of the smaller ones for humiliating the local people, but the bigger ones they couldn't touch. They couldn't impact them. Around here, this boundary here, there's no need to have any warning signs. On the other side of the Moan land, it's still extremely heavily laden with cluster bombs, and there are very, very small areas that are paths that you can't walk off that are cleared of cluster bombs, but literally that boundary there is where the cluster bomb lines have not been touched. And they've cleared, I think, about 80,000 bomblets or bombies just from these Plain of Jar sites. There are 19 of these sites around Phonsavanh. This is just one of them. They're all collectively referred to as the Plain of Jars. So the inability to clear mines has significantly held back development. You can see all that's all mines through here, and there are accidents all the time reported in this particular area where farmers are forced to try and secure income. that's the Plain of Jars, Phonsavanh. It's been on my bucket list for decades, and it's one of the last the most mysterious and inexplicable ancient mysteries of Southeast Asia, even more so than Angkor Wat or Borobudur. They know what they did there, but here, except for carving, the stone technologies were really inexplicable. Some of the holes made would have been impossible for a human using conventional tools at the time to center out and hollow out these stones the way they are. The last point I'll talk about is this cave. In this cave, there's dotted limestone caves all through the Plain of Jars. And when the Americans were trying to bomb the Pratet Lao, the locals and the Pratet Lao leaders hid in these small limestone caves. And the only major casualty was when a US military jet lined up and let its rockets go into the entrance of that cave over there and killed 350 women and children who were taking protection in it. I'm not sure if it was this cave or one that's very close by. Here we are. An entirely futile war.